Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Quote of the day is have more than you show, speak less than you know. Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Dr. Shajia Javed and I'm going to present the topic of human papilloma virus under supervision of Professor Dr. Saira Afzal. Learning objectives. In today's session, we will have an introduction to HPV and its structure, types of HPV, transmission and associated risk factors, epidemiology and key stats, clinical manifestation and associated diseases, prevention, screening, and the role of the vaccination, diagnosis, treatment, and management of the HPV, public health implications, policy barrier, and future direction for Pakistan. And at the end, there will be MCQs. Learning outcomes. By the end of this presentation, participants will understand HPV structure, type, transmission, and associated risk factor. They will analyze its epidemiology, clinical manifestation, and public health implications, including prevention, vaccination, screening, and treatment strategies. Additionally, they will explore policy barriers and the future direction for improving HPV control in Pakistan. Now, introduction to HPV. Human papilloma virus is a group of more than 200 related viruses. HPV infects
प्रेजेंटेशन
skin and mucous membrane, including the genital area, mouth, and throat.
तो क्या करूं
All
अभी
of the
आवाज बंद की हुई है मैंने
transmitted
सारी।
infections worldwide. HPV and its structure. HPV is a small, non-enveloped, double-stranded DNA virus.
इससे
It
कम नहीं हो रही।
has symmetry and a circular genome. The genome is around 8,000 base pair long. The outer layer of HPV is made up of a protein shield called capsid. The capsid is made up of two main proteins, L1 and L2. This figure represents the genomic organization of the HPV. The genome consisting of about 8,000 base pair in length and consists of approximately 8 open reading frames, which can be functionally divided into the three main functional regions, the E region, the L region, and the long control region, LCR. Classification of HPV. HPV are classified into the two main categories depending upon their association with cancer. They can be low risk HPV and high risk HPV. The low risk HPV causes warts and they're typically benign. HPV type 6 and 11, which are responsible for about 90% of the genital wart cases, are present in the low risk. High risk HPV can lead towards cancer, including cervical cancer, anal cancer, and oropharyngeal cancers. HPV 16 and 18 are the common types. They include HPV 31, 33, 45, and 52. These are the notable type of HPV and the associated disease they cause. HPV 1 result into the foot warts, 45 and 18 cause cervical cancer, HPV 6 and 11 result into the genital warts, 31 and 16 cause cervical cancer again, and HPV 2 results into hand warts. Pathogenesis. HPV enters the body through the microarray in the skin or the mucous membrane. The virus infects the basal cells and can persist in the body. In some cases, it causes warts, while in other, it can lead towards cancer. This diagram represents the infection by the HPV. Infection by the HPV infect the basal cell. Within the week, the virus replicates within the epithelial cells. In about 90% of the cases, within the 2 years, the virus get healed. But in some cases, in around a period of 10 to 30 days, the HPV DNA get integrated into the human cell tumor DNA, resulting into invasive cancer in about 0.8% of the cases. Problem statement. HPV is extremely common worldwide, with around 80% of the sexually active individuals contracting it at some point in their life. The WHO estimates that the highest prevalence of the cervical HPV among women is present in sub-Saharan Africa in around 24%, followed by Latin America and Caribbean at 16%, Eastern Europe 14%, and Southeast Asia 14%. Prevalence in men is highly variable depending upon their sexual trends. Globally, it is estimated that 620,000 new cancer cases in women and 70,000 new cancer cases in men were caused by HPV alone in 2019. HPV infection with the high-risk HPV is also the cause of proportion of the cancers of the anus, vulva, vagina, penis, head, and the neck, especially the oropharynx. HPV type 16 and 18 are associated with around 85% cases of the HPV-related head and neck cancer and 87% of all the anal cancer. HPV infection is also implicated nearly all the squamous cell carcinoma of the anus and a variable portion of the cancers of the vulva, 15 to 48% depending upon the age, 78% of the vaginal cancer, 53% of the penile cancer, and 13 to 60% of the oropharynx cancer depending upon the geographical region, and less than 5% of the oral cavity and larynx cancers. Cervical cancer was the fourth leading cause of the cancer and the cancer death in the woman in 2022, with some 660,000 new cases and around 350,000 deaths worldwide. Cervical cancer accounts for almost 90% of the HPV-related cancer in women. 1 in 3 men over the age of the 15 are infected with at least one genital human papilloma virus, and 1 in 5 are infected with one or more of what are known as the high-risk or the oncogenic HPV type. The highest rates of the cervical cancer incidence and mortality are in the low and the middle income countries. This reflects major inequities driven by the lack of access to the national HPV vaccination, cervical screening, treatment services, and social and economic determinants. This graph represents the age-estimated standardized cervical cancer incidence in 2018. The darker shade says that the age standardized rate per 100,000 is greater than 26. HPV transmission. Human papilloma virus is primarily transmitted through the direct contact with the infected skin or the mucosa. Here are the main modes of the transmission. Sexual transmission. HPV is mainly transmitted through the sexual contact, including vaginal, anal, and oral sex. Skin-to-skin contact transmission occurs even in the absence of a penetrated intercourse through the intimate skin-to-skin genital contact. Non-sexual transmission ways. Vertical transmission. HPV can be passed from an infected mother to her baby during the childbirth, potentially causing conditions like recurrent respiratory papillomatosis in the children. For mite transmission, though rare, HPV may spread through the contaminated objects like shared towels or the medical instruments. This is more likely with the low-risk HPV, which result into the skin warts. Autoinoculation. HPV can spread within the same individual, such as transferring the virus from one part of the body to another, for example, from the genital area through the oral region via touch. Risk factors for HPV, they include early age of the sexual activity, multiple sexual partner or having a partner with multiple partners, compromised immune system like infection by HIV, lack of HPV vaccination, poor genital hygiene, coexisting sexually transmitted infection, or smoking. Clinical manifestations of HPV. The clinical symptoms of the HPV vary widely depending upon the type of HPV and the site of infection. Asymptomatic infection are mostly caused by the low risk type and they resolve spontaneously within 1 to 2 years. Asymptomatic infections are often detected only through screening. Symptoms of the low-risk HPV, genital warts, condyloma disseminata. They are the soft, fleshy growth in the genital or anal region. They may be flat, raised, or the cauliflower-like. They're typically caused by HPV 6 and 11. They are often painless but can cause itching, discomfort, or bleeding. Common warts, they are the rough, raised growths on the hands, fingers, or the knees. They are caused by the low-risk HPV 1, 2, and 4. Plantar warts are the hard, painful growth on the soles of the feet. They are caused by HPV type 1 and 2. Flat warts are smooth, flat-shaped lesions on the face, neck, or the hands. This is the picture representation of different type of the wart. These are the plantar wart, genital wart, oral warts, flat wart, and etc. Respiratory symptoms. Recurrent respiratory papillomatosis. It is caused by the HPV type 6 and 11. They are characterized by the benign growth in the airway, leading towards a hoarseness, chronic cough, difficult breathing, or stridor. They are more common in the young children after the vertical transmission passed from an infected mother to baby during the childbirth. Symptoms of the high-risk HPV, precancerous lesions or dysplasia, they do not have any specific symptoms and detected only through the abnormal results in the screening. They can occur in the cervix, vagina, vulva, anus, penis, or the oropharynx. This is a normal cervix, and after an HPV infection, the viral products or RNA get transcribed into the E6 and E7 protein, and after a period of the time, through the cell differentiation and cancerization, it can result into the cervical cancer. Immune response after an HPV infection. HPV infection is restricted to the epithelial layers of the mucosa and do not induce a vigorous immune response. The median time from the HPV infection to the seroconversion is approximately 8 to 12 months, although immunological response varies by the individual type of HPV and the duration of infection. After natural infection, 70 to 80% of the women seroconvert. Their antibody response are typically slow to develop and of low titer. In men, there is less response to the natural HPV infection. Few men seroconvert, and the antibody they produce may not be protective. Cancers. Persistent infection with a high-risk type of the HPV like 16 and 18 can lead towards a cervical cancer. The early stages of this cancer are asymptomatic. Advanced stage may present with irregular vaginal bleeding, postcoital bleeding, pelvic pain, or the foul-smelling discharge. Anal cancer, it results into anal bleeding, pain, itching, or the lump near anus. Oropharyngeal cancer can cause persistent sore throat, difficulty swallowing, ear pain, or the neck lump. Other cancers include vulvar cancer, vaginal, and penile cancer. They can cause visible growth, pain, or bleeding in advanced stages. This represents a normal cervix, which after an HPV infection can either regress or it can progress towards cervical intraepithelial neoplasia 1. With over a period of persistent infection time of 1 to 10 years, it can result into cervical intraepithelial neoplasia 2 and 3 and ultimately towards an invasive cancer. The warning signs include the loss of bladder control, discomfort while urinating, a longer, shorter menstrual cycle, abnormal vaginal bleeding, uneven vaginal discharge, leg pain, pelvic pain, pain during intercourse, unexplained weight loss, and the constant fatigue. Prevention of HPV. Primary prevention, which is the preventing the occurrence of HPV infection, it can be done by vaccination. The most effective primary prevention method is vaccination. The HPV vaccine helps prevent the infection with the high risk type that can cause the cancer and genital warts. It is recommended for adolescents but can also be given to adults as well. Safe sexual practices using condom or dental dams during the sexual activity reduces the risk of HPV transmission. Though it's not 100% effective, it lowers the likelihood of an infection by covering the areas where HPV might be transmitted. Limiting sexual partner, reducing the number of the sexual partners can lower the risk to the exposure to HPV. Avoiding smoking. Smoking weakens the immune system, making it very hard to fight off the infection, including HPV. Avoiding or quitting smoking is considered as a preventive measure. Now we will have a detailed discussion on the vaccination of HPV. The first HPV vaccine became available in 2006. Currently, there are 6 licensed HPV vaccines. 3 are bivalent, 2 quadrivalent, and 1 monovalent. The bivalent vaccine includes Cervarix, Sequelin, and Volrenvax. They protect against 2 types of HPV, 16 and 18. Quadrivalent vaccines include Gardasil and Cervavax, and they protect against 4 types of the HPV, 6, 11, 16, and 18. Nonavalent vaccine are Gardasil 9, which protect against 9 types of HPV, 6, 11, 16, 18, 31, 33, 45, 52, and 58. These vaccinations should be administered intramuscularly in the deltoid region, and the standard dose is 0.5 milliliter. According to WHO, to date, 125 countries have introduced HPV vaccine in their national immunization program for girls, and 47 countries have also included it for the boys. All vaccines protect against HPV type 16 and 18, which are responsible for approximately causing 70% of the cervical cancer cases globally. All vaccines are prepared using recombinant DNA and a cell culture technology from the purified L1 structure protein, which then self-assemble to form HPV type specific empty shell termed as virus-like particles. Since HPV vaccines do not contain any live biological product of viral DNA, they are therefore non-infectious. Recommendations for the HPV vaccine. Routine HPV vaccination should start for all the adolescents at age 11 or 12 years. Administration of vaccine can be started at age of 9 years. Catch-up vaccination through the age of the 26 years for those who are not vaccinated previously. Not using HPV vaccination for all the adults who are greater than of age 26. Instead, shared clinical decision making should be done between a patient and a provider regarding the HPV vaccination for certain age adults from 27 to 45 who are not previously vaccinated. A 2-dose vaccination schedule at 0 and then after 6 to 12 month interval is recommended for the person who initiate the vaccine before their 15th birthday. And a 3-dose vaccine schedule is given for immunocompromised person regardless of the age of initiation. HPV vaccines are not recommended to be used in a pregnant woman. HPV vaccines can be administered regardless of the history of the angiogenital warts, abnormal pap smears, HPV test, or the angiogenital precancer. Women who have received the HPV vaccine should continue their routine cervical screening. The secondary prevention include the early detection and intervention to prevent the progression of HPV further. This include the genital warts identification and pap smear test or HPV testing. Genital wart testing and finding. Genital warts are only visible sign of the low-risk genital HPV and can be identified with a visual check. They are the visible growths, however, the result of the non-carcinogenic type. 5% acetic acid of vinegar is used to identify both the warts and squamous intraepithelial neoplasia lesions with a limited success by causing the abnormal tissue to appear to be white. Cervical screening overview. The key methods include the pap smear cytology, which identify the abnormal cells in cervix, and the HPV testing, which detect the high-risk HPV DNA and RNA. Guidelines according to the American Cancer Society. Women who are aged between 21 to 29, they should get a pap test every 3 years. Women from the age of the 30 to 65, the co-testing need to be done with both the pap smear plus HPV test after every 5 years. This is the preferred method. However, the pap alone can be performed after every 3 years. Screening should be independent of the status of the vaccination. HPV test. Cervical HPV can be detected through a nucleic acid amplification test for the HPV. They are the DNA-based tests which detect the high-risk type. FDA have approved for this test for identifying HPV 16, 18s and other. RNA-based tests detect active infection with a high specificity. The benefits of co-testing with both the HPV test along with pap smear, it reduces the false negative and increases the detection rates. HPV testing in men. The current situation is the limited routine tests are available for the men. However, the sampling method include the samples from the genital, anal, and the oral sites can be taken using cytobrush or swabs. Emery paper preparation increases the detection. Detection of the high risk type can be done from genital skin, urethra, and the semen. Type test or the pap smear is performed by opening the vagina with a speculum and collecting the cells which are present at the outer opening of the cervix at the transformation zone. This is a zone where the outer squamous cervical cells meet the inner glandular endocervical cell. Using an eye spatula or the cytobrush, the collected cells are then examined under a microscope to look for the abnormalities. This test aims to detect potentially precancerous changes, which are called as cervical intraepithelial neoplasia or squamous intraepithelial neoplasia caused by the human papillomavirus. Oropharyngeal cancer screening, mouth testing. Visual examination is limited for the parts of the oropharynx, so therefore late stage detection is very common in the cases of the oropharyngeal cancer. The diagnostic method include the biopsy for any suspicious lesion. P16 immunohistochemistry is a surrogate marker for the HPV-related cancer of oropharynx. HPV DNA in situ hybridization can be visualize HPV within the tissue. Tertiary prevention. This includes managing and mitigating the effect of the HPV-related diseases. Treatment of the precancerous lesion. The precancerous lesion need to be removed. Options include freezing, cryosurgery, laser, surgical removal, loop electrosurgical excision procedure, and a cold knife conization. Loop electrosurgical excision procedure or LEEP. It uses a thin looped wire charged with an electric current to remove a thin layer of a section of cervix. Cold knife conization is a surgical procedure that removes a cone-shaped piece of the cervix. Treatment of the HPV-related cancer. If an individual develops HPV-related cancer, tertiary prevention include managing and treating the cancer through surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, or the targeted therapy towards the cancer. Treatment of genital warts. Genital warts caused by the HPV can be treated through the topical treatment like podophylox, trichloroacetic acid, cryotherapy, surgical removal to reduce symptoms and prevent the spread. Monitoring for recurrence for individuals who have been treated for the pre-cancer changes or the HPV-related cancer. Regular follow-up and monitoring are important to detect any recurrence or any new development early on. This is again the summary. Prevention of HPV as devised by WHO. The primary prevention include vaccination, health information, sex education, condom use, male circumcision. Secondary prevention includes screening and testing. And the tertiary prevention include treatment of the invasive cancer by ablative surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, or the palliative care. The studies show that the human papilloma vaccine efficacy and effectiveness against the cancer. HPV vaccines are highly immunogenic. The efficacy and effectiveness of the vaccines have been remarkably high among the women who were HPV seronegative before the vaccination. Comparisons of the efficacy of the bivalent, quadrivalent, or the nonavalent vaccine against 16 and 18 show that they are similar. However, the nonavalent vaccine can provide additional protection against 31, 33, 45, 52, and 58 HPV types. The direct effect of the nonavalent vaccine with the cross protection of the bivalent quadrivalent results in the reduction of the HPV. HPV vaccination has been shown to provide the herd immunity as well. 2 doses of the HPV vaccine schedule show no difference in seroconversion from the 3-dose schedule. HPV vaccination has been shown to be highly effective against all types of the HPV, with a significant percentage of the participants developing IgG antibody in the oral fluid post vaccination. In an anal infection and intraepithelial neoplasia, the vaccine also demonstrated high efficacy. Understanding the importance of the vaccine, the WHO has devised a global strategy to accelerate the elimination of the cervical cancer as a public health problem. They have devised some 2030 targets towards the elimination. Meeting the following 90, 70, 90 target by 2030 will put all the countries on the path to the elimination of cervical cancer. By 2030, it shows that 90% of the girls should be fully vaccinated with HPV vaccine by the age of the 15 years. 70% of the women screened using a high performance test by the 35 years of the age, and again by 45 years of the age. 90% of the women identified with the cervical cancer are treated. 90% of the women with the pre-cancer treated, and 90% of the women with invasive cancer should be managed. The strategic actions devised to achieve the 90% coverage of the HPV vaccine include secure and sufficient and affordable HPV vaccines. It can be done by partnership between the private sector to overcome the vaccine supply constraint. The vaccine should be made more affordable prices. Increase the quality and the coverage of the vaccination. It should be a multi-sectorial delivery program, and there should be monitoring system to improve the coverage and quality. Improve communication and social mobilization, including a nationwide evidence-based communication, overcoming the social, cultural, societal, and other barriers. Innovative to improve the efficiency of the vaccine delivery. There should be national guidelines, policies, and strategies to make HPV vaccination more approachable and affordable. If we see the situation of the HPV and related cancer in Pakistan, according to the fact sheet in 2023, Pakistan has a population of 73.8 million women who are aged 15 years and older, and they are at the risk of developing cervical cancer. Current estimate indicate that every year 5,000 or 8 women are diagnosed with a cervical cancer and 3,197 die from the disease. Cervical cancer ranks as the third most frequent cancer among the women of the Pakistan and second most frequent cancer among the women between 15 and 44 years of the age. About 0.5% of the women in the general population are estimated to harbor cervical cancer, cervical HPV 16 and 18 infection at any given type, and 88.1% of invasive cervical cancer are attributed to HPV 16 or 18. The crude incidence rate of the HPV-related cancer is shown in this table. The burden of cervical cancer show annual number of the new cases of death is 5,000 in 8 is incidence and 3,197 is mortality. The crude rate for incidence is 4.67 and for mortality is 2.98. Ranking of the cervical cancer from age 15 to 44 is second in incidence and third in mortality. More than 5,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer in Pakistan every year. More than 3,000 deaths are caused by cervical cancer in Pakistan every year. Cervical cancer is the most common cause of the death among the cancer patients in Pakistan. Cervical cancer is the ninth most common cancer in Pakistan and third most common cancer among Pakistani women. This study showed that HPV vaccination is a mode of the cervical cancer prevention in Pakistan. 68.6 million women in Pakistan at the age of 15 are at the risk of developing cervical cancer, with more than 3,000 losing their life every year. It's the third leading cause of the cancer, and 88% of the cervical cancer caused by the serotype 16 and 18. Pakistan, like a developing country, lacked the uptake of the pap smear, and there are only about 2% of the women who have the uptake of the pap smear. In such cases, HPV vaccination become even more crucial for cervical cancer prevention. Two globally licensed HPV vaccine have been introduced to Pakistan: a quadrivalent vaccine Gardasil and a bivalent vaccine Cervarix. Cervarix vaccine by the GSK cost around 5,000 in Pakistan. The quadrivalent vaccine Cervarix protects against the 4 HPV serotype like Gardasil, but it can cost less than 10 times less than the previously available vaccine. But vaccine need to be more affordable and more accessible, and there should be a greater coverage of the population. Pakistan doesn't have a national HPV vaccination program yet, and it doesn't manufacture its own vaccine. There's also the lack of the support from the government, making the availability of the Cervarix and the Gardasil to be limited. Also, the general population of the Pakistan is very poorly aware and educated about this topic, and it is also a cultural taboo to discuss this topic. A news published in 2021 shows that the Sindh government will launch a vaccination drive against human papilloma infection in the province in collaboration with Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, in an effort to tackle the growing cases of the cervical cancer. In the first phase, the vaccination should be started in a school age of the 9 years and above. However, the vaccination policy and the landscape in Pakistan show the vaccine availability. Two vaccines available, Gardasil and the Cervarix. They have been introduced in Pakistan. However, the uptake is limited because of the limited awareness and accessibility or affordability. National vaccination program. Currently, Pakistan doesn't have any national HPV vaccination program. In 2022, the Sindh government announced a plan to launch for the HPV vaccination initiative. However, the comprehensive nationwide efforts are still pending. Barriers to the vaccination include the cultural taboo surrounding the discussion of the sexual health, lack of the awareness, limited availability of the vaccine. These factors contribute towards the low vaccination rates observed in the country. Recommendations and the future direction. Awareness campaign, implementing a nationwide educational program to raise the awareness about cervical cancer and the benefits of the HPV vaccination is crucial. Engaging the patient, caregivers, and community leaders can help address the culture sensitive issue. Integration into the national immunization program. Incorporating the HPV vaccine into Pakistan EPI could enhance the coverage and accessibility, especially for the young girls before their first sexual contact. Screening program, establishing regular cervical screening services such as the pap smear at the primary healthcare level is essential for early detection and prevention. Currently, less than 1% of the women in Pakistan report having undergone cervical cancer screening. Now, MCQs. MCQs 1 is a 25-year-old woman visit her physician for the routine checkup. She is sexually active, but she has never undergone a pap smear test. What would be the recommended course for the action? Number A, advise immediate HPV DNA testing. B, perform a pap smear and recommend HPV vaccination if unvaccinated. C, wait until any symptom develop. D, prescribe antibiotic. E, start a single-dose antiviral regimen. B is the correct option. Number two, a healthcare worker is planning an awareness campaign in a low-income community with a limited access to the vaccine. What is the key message that should be emphasized? A, HPV is curable and inevitable. B, vaccination is ineffective after sexual activity begin. C, vaccination screening can significantly reduce the HPV-related risk. D, HPV only affects the woman. E, vaccination is not necessary if one has a good hygiene. C is the correct option. Number three, an immunocompromised individual is diagnosed with a persistent HPV infection. What is the risk compared to the other general population? A, low risk of the HPV-associated cancer. B, equal chance of HPV clearance. C, high risk of the progression towards the cancer because of the impaired immune response. D, no risk of the HPV-related complication. E, more prone to develop other STDs. Option C is the correct answer. Number four, a 19-year-old patient asked about the benefits of HPV vaccination after becoming sexually active. What's the correct advice? A, vaccination is ineffective after sexual activity begin. B, vaccination can still provide protection against the types of the HPV the patient has not been yet exposed. C, vaccination cures existing HPV infection. D, vaccination is only for the children. E, vaccination can cure the cancer which is related to HPV. Option B is the right answer. Question number five, a country is planning to introduce an HPV vaccination program. What is the ideal target population for this program? A, adult from the age 25 to 35. B, included in EPI. C, adolescents who are aged from 9 to 14 before becoming sexually active. D, elderly individual. E, infants who are under the age of 1. C is the right answer. Number six, a woman in her late 40s is concerned about her risk of having cervical cancer. She reports having regular pap smear but has never received an HPV vaccine. What should her doctor recommend? A, continue pap smear as they are effective for monitoring cervical health. B, HPV vaccination should be administered immediately. C, discontinue pap smear as she is not vaccinated. D, HPV vaccination is not effective at her age. E, vaccination is ineffective after the sexual activity begins. Option A is the right answer. MCQs number 7. A country is launching a national HPV vaccination program. The Ministry of Health plans to vaccinate the individual between the age of 20 to 30. What would be an important consideration? Vaccination at this age group may be limited efficacy as many have been already exposed to HPV. B, this is the ideal age group for HPV vaccination. C, the program should target only males. D, the booster doses will not be needed in this group. E, start this program in more younger age. The answer A, vaccination at this age may have limited efficacy as many have already been exposed to HPV is the right option. MCQs number 8, a 35-year-old woman tests positive for having high-risk HPV during routine screening. What is the next step in management? A, immediate surgery. B, colposcopy and biopsy to evaluate for the precancerous lesion or cancerous lesion. C, start HPV antiviral therapy. D, reassure her and repeat the test in 5 years. E, counsel her about the surgery. Option B is the right option. Number 9, a 13-year-old boy is brought to clinic by his parents for immunization. They express the concern that HPV vaccination is only for the girls. How should the physician address this? A, tell them HPV only affects the women. B, explain that the boys at the young age are not prone to HPV. C, emphasize that HPV vaccination is recommended for both the boys and the girls to prevent the cancer and genital warts. D, postpone the vaccine until the adulthood. E, recommend only tetanus vaccine.
C.
Yes, C is the right answer. Number 10. A mother infected with HPV delivered a baby. Which of the following related condition can occur in the offspring? A, genital warts. B, respiratory papillomatosis. C, cervical cancer. D, penile cancer. And E, skin cancer.
A.
No, B is the right answer. This is the key to MCQs. The link to our YouTube channel where all the presentations are uploaded. Thank you.
Well done, Dr. Shajia.